big fight the force of gravity. If you want to juggle 3 in a circle, you're going to have 2 in the air at once like this. Look how much harder that is than that. Door number 1. Door number 2.
In 2005, we took a few lessons on juggling and also learned that you're never too old to learn.
People in the painting.
And that each of us may have different learning skills.
Last year, Donna Shepard and others did a great deal of work trying to obtain the...
Beginning with the opening presentation by Kathleen Gaffney for teachers at the Greater Jasper School District's middle school in November of 2005.
A part of the Kennedy Foundation. The Kennedy Foundation, and Donna can tell you more about that teachers.
Playwright, artist, director, actress, and arts and educational specialist Kathleen Gaffney was at the Jasper Middle School to introduce techniques of multi-intelligence and ways to use the arts to stimulate learning.
Let us be a gift to the other. Let our gifts and our spirits ride in our hearts and minds and give us the strength to complete the great circle. Do not be afraid to be. Differences teach. Do not be afraid to sing your heart song with honor and love. Walk gently. Sing loudly. Teach. 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 Good morning. A poet, a Native American poet by the name of Lone Wolf. And he is one of the most wonderful poets that I have ever met, and I adore his words. Very late at night and watch those movies that come on at 2, 3, and 4 o'clock in the morning. Because that's the time they show the movies I was in. The one they show most often is called Washington Up There, where I was featured opposite Tom Selleck. It was a number of years ago.
But it was her daughter's illness that stimulated her interest in multi-intelligent views of learning.
Was where I was figuring I was going to be working all the time, so why not live right there? And I had a beautiful little, my husband and I had a beautiful little girl. We called her Carrie Ann. Blonde hair, blue eyes, perfect in every way. At the age of 11 months, my daughter could cruise along the furniture. She could say mama and daddy. She played with toys. At the age of 11 months, she was diagnosed with cancer. A very difficult type of cancer called retinoblastoma, which took her left eye. So they had an operation, they removed the eye and the tumor, and they didn't realize how impaired her immune system was. So very shortly thereafter, they gave her a measles, mumps, and rubella shot. That caused meningitis. The meningitis caused hydrocephalitis. The result was profound neurological damage. Over the span of 1 week, my daughter lost all of her abilities. First, she lost the ability to stand up. Then she couldn't sit up. Then she couldn't speak. Then she couldn't hold a toy. Finally, her ability even to look at someone and engage them in the eyes, she just became non-affect. We rushed her to every doctor we could think. And that she was profoundly developmentally disabled. Except the word they used was retarded. She's profoundly retarded. And I said, all right, well, what should we do? And the doctor said, well, you and your husband should reset your expectations for her life. Well, that didn't sound right. So I quit my career in theater. I thought I quit it forever, but it turns out I didn't. And I sought to get her back. And said, what is that? What is that early intervention? She said it's the educational idea that if you get to a child soon enough and you stimulate them enough, it can make a profound difference in the way they're able to develop. And I said, I need that. Where can I find it? And she said, well, I don't know, but there's the New York telephone book. And I became a detective unearthing programs. Now at this time, early intervention programs for children with disabilities were disability specific. If your child was autistic, they went there. If they were blind, they went here. If they were developmentally disabled, they went there. Well, my daughter had all these disabilities, so I needed a lot of programs. And I enrolled her in 3 programs so that she was going to school now at age 13, 14 months. She was going to school 5 days a week. And these were very innovative programs. At the Jewish Guild for the Blind, at Columbia University's Teachers College, and a mainstreaming program. And they required the parents to attend school with the children every day. I went to school with my daughter every day. Can you imagine if a parent of one of your students came into your classroom every single day for a year? Well, I went for 2 years. And I saw the work of great occupational therapists, physical therapists, speech therapists. We were involved with pediatricians and developmental psychologists and cognitive specialists. And then I became truly impressed by people who are my heroes in life. Teachers. I could not believe what their day was like. And I saw it a lot, and I saw it over and over and over. So they became my favorite people. Now, I, like a lot of your kids, I wanted to do something with my life. I mean, one of the reasons I wanted to be an actress is so that I could be related to important literature like Shakespeare. I wanted to find some importance. And I thought, well, you know, if you're famous, then you can do important work. Watching teachers teach, I had a huge paradigm shift. Because I realized you didn't have to be famous to do really important work. Because it was happening every day. And so it was my first of all the profound lessons that I learned during my daughter's great journey. So we're working with all these teachers, and I have confidence that something's going to happen, and I watch all the other children around my daughter. I watch them progressing. I watch them start to walk. I watch them start to speak. Some of them are dancing. Some are, you know, making drawings. There's no change in my daughter. None. For 2 years. And I began to get discouraged. And then one day, the music therapist
learning development.
was folded, you know, she was very folded. And they moved her hand over, and they helped her to strum. And then they removed their hand. And then my daughter, who had not held a toy for 2 years, began to strum the instrument all by herself, over and over and over, like she was possessed. They took the pick away, she cried. I said, surely you saw that. You know, I thought, we've made a great. I don't have any idea that this child ever was considered autistic or profoundly developmentally disabled. She is one of the 110 recovering autistics in the United States. She couldn't come with me because she's attending Buffalo State College. She is completely healed. Music and the other art forms gave my daughter back to me. So guess what happened to me? I turned into this missionary. You know, I absolutely became rabid about the impact that the arts could make in learning. But you know what? I didn't exactly know why. I was using words with the developmental psychologist like a miracle. I said to the developmental psychologist where they have the auto heart, his name is Joe Trasco. I said, Dr. Joe, this is a miracle. What the arts are doing for my daughter is a miracle. And he said, well, I'm a developmental psychologist. We're not allowed to use that. But she has spontaneously extended her limits. Oh. I said, I think I want to know how to do it. 15 minutes after that class, she could make sound. That's when they brought in a speech therapist. This now looked to me like voodoo. You know, it just looked incredible. I said, Dr. Joe, I want to know what you know. Teach me what you know. He said, well, if you want to know what I know, you can get your degree in developmental psychology at Columbia University.
Dr. Joe agreed to be her mentor, bringing her stacks of books.
Or at Columbia University. You teach me. You be my mentor. Please. And he said yes. I guess I was pretty compelling. I was probably used a stronger voice than I just used then. But he agreed to be my mentor. And so the first thing he did, you know, figuring, well, she's probably an actress, so, you know, maybe she doesn't read a lot. He brought me stacks of books. And the first stack he brought me, on the very top was this book called Frames of Mind, The Theory of Seven Intelligences, written by Dr. Howard Gardner. He said, if you want to start someplace that's really going to change your mind about how children learn, read this book.
More on the multi-intelligence theories in our second segment. For WJTS, this is Tony Frick.
You know, figuring, well, she's probably an actress, so, you know, maybe she doesn't read a lot. He brought me stacks of books. And the first stack he brought me, on the very top, was this book called Frames, The Theory of Seven by Dr. Howard Gardner. He said, start someplace that's really going to change your mind about how children learn. Read this. I opened it up. No pictures. The printing was really, really small. I thought, you know, I would get defeated. I read the book in a weekend.
In an effort to help her own disabled child achieve the most from life, Kathleen Gaffney set out on a learning expedition.
Who were in my life who were choreographers. And not that they were named, but they were described. Their abilities were described. The way they encountered the world were described. So I was able, as I read this, to sort out, in a logical, mathematical fashion, all of the people I knew in the arts and put them into the categories. And I began to realize that multiple intelligences and the arts were pretty much the same thing. You know, the arts were a demonstration of the intelligence, like one coin with two sides.
In 1992, that learning expedition evolved into Kathleen Gaffney co-founding Art Genesis, Inc., a non-profit arts and education organization.
I knew the arts. My husband and I formed Arts Genesis as a way to reach kids in New York City, because everybody in New York City who attends the public school, in some fashion or another, has special needs. Whether it's, you know, because of possible violence, the way they're brought up, tremendous economic deprivation, or whatever. Every kid that
Art Gen-
integration. And of course, that's what the Kennedy Center partnership with Jasper is about. It is about arts integration. And so people who don't know the start point and the genesis of this whole idea say, well, why are we using the arts to teach? Why is this important? What does it do? Well, in the geography of the brain, those intelligences exist in different places on our brain. It is really, you have to think of the geography, think of a globe, think of the continents. And that's what multiple intelligences was able to identify. When Dr. Howard Gardner began his work, he was working with people with brain impairments. And he would find that a person might lose the ability to speak words if they had a stroke, or they were in an accident in which their head was. They could lose the ability to speak words. Yet they would retain the ability to sing words. How is this possible? They could lose the ability to speak words, yet retain the ability to sing words. Geographically, those abilities exist on different areas of the brain. And so, multiple intelligences theory just became, across the country. By the way, in the United States, we're so American here. We don't use the word creativity. We use the word American ingenuity. That phrase. We like that phrase. American ingenuity creates products, creates systems. That's what we call creativity. So if you're more comfortable with the term American ingenuity, and I say creativity, just like translate it for yourself. Kind of like miracle and spontaneously extended limits. I think there is a pyramid of usage, where a lot of people, let's say down here, we use generalized vocabulary. We say thing instead of giving a precise noun. And then as we go up, teachers are really, toward the upper part of this triangle, because you have to be very precise. And not only that, but you have to change your language. For example, how many times have you had to tell your class something more than once? And do you use the same words? You have to change your words. Then you have to add metaphors. Well, it's like, well, it could be compared to, and what you have to do is you have to constantly refine the way you deliver your verbal message. So you have a lot of this. Our kids have less. We have less than people did 50 years ago. 50 years ago, the average expressive vocabulary of a child in junior high school was about 50,000 words. Time Magazine report, by the way. This is what I'm quoting right now. 50,000 words 50 years ago. In 1999, they did the same study, same group of kids, age group of kids. We had reduced to 15,000 words. We have lost, do the math, we've lost thousands and thousands of words. What were those words? And where did they go? I'm on my personal word reclamation project with my family and anybody else I meet because I'm a writer. And words are the precision tools of exchanging ideas. And especially when we think, they're the precision tools of diplomacy. They're the precision tools of thought. So if we start losing words, we will lose our ability to think. So I love words. I often think as we go up this pyramid that writers and essayists and playwrights and are really at the top. And currently, at the very top of my pyramid, I put poets. But there are other ways in which we can orchestrate student energy by using music. And you know, I am going to segue into my next interpersonal, intrapersonal, and linguistic.
She also used They are volunteers. They enjoy performing. Yes, while members of the Actors Community Theater perform The Miracle Worker on stage, other cast members are busy jotting down.
What a dictionary. Have to know how to spell it before you can look at how to spell it.
Following the final performance of that original play about Anne's
actually started auditions the end of January, so we had essentially 2 months of rehearsal. And during that time, and probably about the same time we started rehearsal, they actually started working on the set. Worked that while we were actually rehearsing. So we had and then as it came closer, we were going every night for 2 to 3 hours, and towards the end, even longer. So we actually did the run-throughs and the technical rehearsal. About it until then, and overnight we had our own miracle. Our Monday night was really rough at Tech Week, and by Tuesday, the performers came in early. They rehearsed scenes they were having problems with, and from that point on, the show was magic, and the performers did a really, really wonderful job. All around, it was just a really wonderful production.
Not setting her up like this. Yes. What is her secret, sir? Secret that enables her to get anything she wants out of you when I can't. She does not get anything she wants out of you.
Captain!
He's afraid. What does he want from me? My God, don't you know everything you forgot when you forgot my mother? What?
Are actually muslin coated and then stretched, sized, and painted, and that just makes them very lightweight, and that allows the flats to be much larger. So we now have 12-foot flats, and they've only gone back to that fairly recently. Heavier to move. You've got a problem that the plywood, the Luan plywood, comes in 8-foot 4x8 sheet. So then you've got, so for 8-foot flats it works great, but beyond that, not a whole lot. The problem with muslin is that it will, though, also tear. And we did have an incident where one of the flats during Tech Week got torn. Repairable. Actually go and spray them down with water, and that actually allowed them to tighten back up.
Oh, scene change.
I'm so impressed with the rooster, and he's not so impressed with the size of the bell.
autograph book, right?
Oh yeah, have to remember the dinky bell.
Big, you missed one line. Two lines.
Are these autographs for like you exchange between each other?
Yeah.
Okay, so it's kind of like for the end performance, everybody exchanged one with someone else. And had a little,
Books.
okay, so it's a little memory, and everybody writes something in there. The funny stuff and the
Yeah. Whatever.
We also spoke with some of the actors, stage crew, and designers about some of their favorite moments during the production of The Miracle Worker.
Haven't had fun?
Yeah, it's been fun.
Yeah.
What's the most enjoyable part of it?
The breakfast scene would have to be the most because I'm usually not like that.
Motivates that character, what's that character's background. A lot of times with the musicals that people are used to doing, it's more song and dance numbers and move here and choreography and things like that rather than character development. And I that's my bent. I really like delving into the character. Develop those skills that they're actually becoming or becoming believable as that person. And I think that was one of the strengths with Miracle Workers, that we really had, you know, performers that you believe them. You believe that Shandy couldn't see. And we even worked Sullivan, that Steffi really was Annie Sullivan, and there was certainly a connectedness between her and Shandy as Helen, that quite often you really don't get that depth of emotion in musicals and things like that.
What did I get myself into now?
For this production, I basically coordinated designers who are out there translating the play for signing. And
Haven't you enough feeling to understand what Katie has been going through?
Captain, it's true. These 2 weeks have been normal, quiet. All you say is not short, interminable.
I need to be here to, support.
Community theater?
It's going to be about 3 years.
Okay. And some of the parts that you've played in the past?
My biggest parts were in The Wizard of Oz, which is the first one I did. I was a Winky, a tree. I was every odd little thing here and there. I was also in the dining room recently. It's, I think, woman number 3. And that was odd because I was not just one person, not one part. I actually played like 5 different people.
Challenges in themselves.
Oh yeah.
What started your interest in this? How long have you been in theater for?
I've been doing it out here for 8 years, since I was 11, so my first show was Oliver's.
Okay. What did you do in Oliver?
I played Dodger.
Ah.
So, yeah, that was fun.
Okay.
It was a good time.
Takes a lot of time, enjoyable, but
It's worth it. It's worth it. It's worth it, to meet all the people, and, you become a family. I would like to be on Broadway one day. That's my goal, but there's lots of competition. So, it's tough.
But there's more than just Broadway. There's children theaters, there's all kinds of things.
Yeah.
Okay.
And if not that, then I'll stay here and I'll just keep doing community theater because I love it. That's the thing, if you go to like Broadway and stuff, and then you don't get to do this anymore, and this is enjoyable.
It's coming. Dandruff.
That's not dandruff, it's shoe polish.
Yeah, but anybody
Shoe dandruff.
doing that. I wash my hair.
Students that come here are volunteers or
No, and that's the thing is that, and I tell people when I used to go into career fairs and things like that, is that this may not be what you want to do for a career. You really enjoy doing, and that there's a place for community theater that's not professional. The quality may be the same as professional, and I will hold up the productions I've been doing as good as or better than some of the professional things I've seen. But that they're doing it out of not an occupation, but it's a strong interest that they have. Camaraderie involved in the theater. There's a lot of personal satisfaction that you really don't get a lot of times in other ways. It really is an emotional thing that you just feel so strongly about.
Doreen also noted that family includes the community and that a strong audience support